Hey guys, you know what I've always wondered? What is the difference between a geek and a nerd? Also, which one am I? Okay, yes, I have asked this question many a time in my life. I have used both of these words to describe myself, but every time I use one of the words to describe myself, I wonder, am I using the wrong word? In the actual dictionary, the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it defines geek as a person often of an intellectual bent who is disliked, or an enthusiast or expert, especially in a technological field or activity. Or, the weird one, a carnival performer often billed as a wild man whose act usually includes biting the heads off of a live chicken or snake. Yeah, I'm not that kind of a geek. No. In the Urban Dictionary, it has a lot about the word geek. The top definition is the people you pick on in high school and wind up working for as an adult. Okay. Don't think that's always accurate, but okay. Another one says, one who passionately engages in one or more things to extreme levels, a commonly ascribed term to people in the field of computer programming. But one does not have to be in a technical field to be a geek. The only criteria is an intense level of interest in something, often to a highly specialized degree. The term currently seems to be most used when referring to various fandoms. Fandoms? Huh, I know that word. This one says, not to be confused with a nerd. A geek does not have to be smart. A geek is someone who is generally not athletic, who enjoys video games, comic books, being on the internet, and etc. Another one says, a geek is a person who is socially excluded from a general population. Unlike nerds, geeks do not necessarily have to be smart. They often create groups among themselves and generally have these similar characterizations. A lack of participation in physical activities such as sports, an interest in computer, a crude sense of humor radically different from common society, a negative attitude toward common society. This one, number 7, says, the term geek originally referred to the carnival performers whose act consisted of biting the heads off chickens and eating glass. That's gross. Over time, it came to be applied to anyone who got paid to do work considered odd or bizarre by mainstream society. The term now enjoys a special status within the technical community, particularly among particularly knowledgeable computer programmers. To identify oneself as a geek indicates a recognition that most people still consider programming computers to be a bizarre act, along with a certain fierce satisfaction in being very good at their inglorious profession. There's more. There's a lot of differences here. So there's people saying that it has to deal with technological smarts, and there are some that say that it doesn't have to do with smarts at all. It's just enthusiasm over a particular subject that you specialize in. And now I'm a little confused. Now, let's see what a nerd is, okay? In the dictionary, a nerd is defined as an unstylish, unattractive, or socially inept person, especially one slavishly devoted to intellectual or academic pursuits. Or, let's see if there's a nicer one. A person who behaves awkwardly around other people and usually has unstylish clothes, hair, etc. That's so nice of you to say. A person who is very interested in technical subjects, computers, etc. That's also apparently a geek. So, let's see what Urban Dictionary has to say about nerds. Okay. Top definition of nerd in the Urban Dictionary is an individual who, 1, they've literally numbered the points. 1, enjoys learning. 2, does not adhere to social norms. A nerd is not, 1, a geek. The circles overlap, but they are not the same. 2, someone who wears fake nerdy glasses. 3, someone who wears suspended blah blah blah. Okay, I get it. You're very critical about people who pretend to be a nerd. 1 whose IQ exceeds his weight. First of all, geeks are not nerds. They are people who often like video games or comics, etc., but don't possess the intellect to be considered a nerd. Nerds are often given a bad name because of geeks that are mistaken for nerds. I feel like this person feels strongly about this subject. So again, very different, contradicting almost answers that people feel very strongly about. So I went ahead and I asked who I always ask when I don't know the answer to. I asked my family and my friends. And not all of them have gotten back to me yet, but a lot of them did. And I'm going to tell you a few of what they decided a geek and a nerd is. Nerds tend to be fairly intelligent / skilled at doing something like computer programming, rocket science, etc., but don't care much about other things, often to the point of being socially awkward as a result. A geek is someone who is an expert in a particular subject or subjects, like a TV show, book series, etc. Though you could be a geek about computer programming, it's sort of a gradient. You tend to lean more toward geek or nerd, but most tend to have a mixture of both. It's kind of like academic is a nerd versus passionate, which is geek. Nerds know things, geeks fix things. Geek is awkward, nerd is knowledgeable. When I think geek, I think technology. When I think nerd, I think book writing knowledge. Geek is someone who is knowledgeable and excited about certain things like Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, Doctor Who, etc. A nerd, on the other hand, is knowledgeable about things like math and science. They both mean the same thing to me. One that is a little different from the mainstream in choice for activity. Somebody that is extra studious or overly obsessed with something. This one. A nerd is overly studious and a geek is overly obsessed or excited about something, but you can have varying degrees of both. You can be geeky over what you're nerding over. You get what I'm saying. Someone who obsesses about a particular topic or subject and knows more than the average person about it. That was the thing. Then I asked, do you think that there's a difference? And they said, I don't know. I've never honestly thought about it. Geek is computers and technology. Nerd is books and movies and stuff. I don't know that I care to make too much of a distinction, but I suppose the traditional definitions would be that a geek is someone that is super into something, knows a lot about it, etc. A nerd is someone who actually puts some intellectual thought to it. Example. Star Wars geek. Can recite all the films, wears merch, listens to SW podcasts, etc. Star Wars nerd has actually calculated the length and part of a parsec, drawn up blueprints for an actual lightsaber, etc. In my mind, a geek and a nerd were synonymous in the fact that they were very passionate and knowledgeable about the things that they sought to learn about. I just thought of a geek as more technological and a nerd as more not technological, I guess. So with all these varying definitions and thoughts, and some saying that a nerd and a geek cannot be the same thing, some saying that a nerd and a geek can have similarities, and some saying that nerd and geek is synonymous, how do I decide which one I am? How do I find out which definition is the one that fits me the best? Which one am I? Am I a geek or am I a nerd? I don't know. I still don't know. I don't know. Because there are so many different definitions and they all make sense to me in their various ways and I can't figure it out. So I'm asking you guys. I love learning, but only about certain topics. I am not tech savvy at all. I know a lot about the things that I do learn about, but there's always someone that knows more than me, so I'm not going to say I know everything, but I know a lot about the things that I choose to learn about. I'm very passionate about the things that I choose to learn about. I am not scholarly, but I'm not dumb, okay? I have a lot of random knowledge about things that people don't particularly care about, but I care about them, so it's important to me that I know these things. I also have knowledge of things that I learned about in the past, and I'm like, why do I still know that? I don't know what I am. I think I'm a geek, but I also think I'm a nerd. Can I be both, or do I have to choose? What do you guys think? Am I a geek or am I a nerd? Am I both? Can I be both, or do I have to decide? How do you define geek? How do you define nerd? Do you think that there's a difference between these words? Do you think that they're synonymous? Did you guys like this video? If you did like this video, would you be so kind as to give it a thumbs up? Also, if you have an answer, could you please leave it down in the comments below? Or you could leave it on one of my other socials because I tweeted this question and I have an Instagram story about it on my highlights under YouTube. So if you have an answer to this, could you please answer me? Oh, and one last question. Do you guys want to see if I can connect random words to my fandoms? I'm pretty good at it. Because if you do, then I would recommend that you hit the subscribe button, and you might also want to hit the notification bell because that's gonna be happening next Saturday. So I will see you guys then. Bye!